Hey guys, welcome back to Sarcastic Remarks and alongside Chris tonight. My name is Ryan Chambers. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. Thank you to Game Time and DraftKings Sportsbook for being our sponsors. Hey, maybe the next time you go and bet with DraftKings, you can bet that two Canadian teams will lose in the same day. If you don't know what
Uh,
I'm talking about, go look at the World Juniors. It's funny. Anyways, Chris, how are you doing tonight? Dallas Stars get the 4-2 win over the Ottawa Senators.
Doing great. The game was pretty close there up until even the end of the third period, but really, if you were watching it, it was a really dominant game from the Stars, top to bottom. The defense was fantastic outside of two really bad plays from our best defenders, which was weird, but outside of that, it was great. The goaltending was really good, and we scored 4 goals again for an offense that's really been struggling. So, not really much to complain about at all tonight.
And I was really scared after the first intermission. I was just like, you got to be kidding me, right? Like the start they had was fantastic. They get
Great
a
first
power play, they score on the power play, and then less than a minute later, they're right back at it down 2-1. And I was just like, here we go again. And thankfully, it was not that case later at the end of the game. So that's the thing that's really nice to see about this game in particular. They screwed up a couple of times. It was just a couple of individual plays, and they come back and they take care of business. What's your biggest takeaway from the game tonight?
Yeah, kind of what you were getting at a little bit is that poise that they showed. They were down 2-1 into the first intermission when they really shouldn't have been. They should have been ahead for sure. Um, they take the lead going into the third period, and in that third period, they outshot the Sens 9-2. That's fantastic. That's exactly what you want to do, especially in a game that's close that you should be running away with, and they weren't yet. They were like, we should be running away. Let's go do it. And that's exactly what they did. It was a great third period. It was a really good game overall. It was a horrible, minute that they had there.
That's
Really
it.
bad play from Haskin, really bad play from Harley. And everything else was really good. Maybe the power play wasn't awesome. 1 for 5 isn't great, but it's better than we've been getting recently.
And I think that's the key there, Chris, is that the way they played in the third period was very different than they've done in the past.
Yeah.
Like they were playing like they didn't have the lead, which I fully appreciated. That was like they go and get yourself the insurance marker so that if you make another mistake, then you can be okay and then be like, okay, whatever, it was another goal. We're up 4-3. They got that extra goal. They did everything they were supposed to. The Stars hold the Ottawa Senators to 13 shots, which is nuts.
Amazing.
I don't think I've seen that in a long time. I think the lowest I ever remember is 16. And I think that was against the Arizona Coyotes a couple of years ago. But still, 13 shots, that makes Otter's night really easy other than that 1 minute. So, I mean, just in general, this was just a fantastic game all around. There's lots of other things we need to jump into and talk about as well, just some general news. I do want to jump onto a couple of things chat is already talking about. And a lot of it is about Stankoven. Logan Stankoven is just so snake bit right now. He looks so frustrated right now. Zach, our brother, says. Mato says Stank is going to have one go off his butt and then go in a scorcher. I just know it. And then Darren Smith saying that's usually what it takes. I mean, have you seen anything that he's been doing bad, Chris? Because honestly, I think he's really struggling in his own zone. I think that's where he seems to be struggling a little bit. He doesn't quite get the puck out of the zone fast enough sometimes, and he doesn't always make the right decision in his own zone. But in the offensive zone, it seems like he's shooting. It seems like he's getting the chances. It looks like he's doing the right things in the bottom six because he's right now a bottom six forward. I mean, why is he so snake bit right now?
Yeah, I think it really is just snake bit. I agree. He's just got to have one go in, and once it goes in, you get all that confidence, and it's going to start going in a little bit easier. So I really agree with what they're saying in the comments there, and yeah, he's got to get one to go off his butt because his scoring chance tonight, I mean, there's not a bigger grade A chance than that right in front of the net. And it doesn't even hit the goalie. It's blocked like almost accidentally by a defender just spinning around trying to make a play, and it gets his hand. So, yeah, to me, it's just unlucky. He's going to get one to go, and that whole line maybe even could start taking off with Bork as well.
Well, the three of those guys have just been fantastic together. They really have been. I did want to also point out that one of the stats that I pulled out of my butt at like during the first period, it was the scoring chance that he had. The chance of it going in was 34%. The next highest was the goal that actually went in, and it was Hence's tip in. That was at 16%. So I mean, it's
According
how to
to Money Puck.
according to moneypuck.com. Yes, I should make that clear. According to moneypuck.com, and that's normally the stats, the advanced analytics that I like to use. But regardless, that's still interesting to point out that that's what it is. That's what's happening to him right now. He's just not able to get the puck in the net.
Yep.
Agreed. I do want to move on and talk about this guy more than anybody right now, and that's the captain. He is quietly having a ridiculous season, in my opinion. And I think I know this is crazy to say this, considering he has like a $9 million cap hit, but I think he is exceeding expectations right now. And I was just curious, and I went back and looked, Chris. He has had a point in every single game since December 1st, except for 4. Now, it might just be 1 or it might just be 2. He hasn't had very many multi-point games, but he has had a point in every single game since December 1st, except for 4. I mean, for a team that is very inconsistent, especially from their top players right now, which it looks like they're starting to get going, that is remarkable for me.
Yeah, and his expectation is not his cap hit anymore. I think it's an important caveat to put there. We're not expecting a $9 million player anymore, but he is absolutely, I mean, he's on pace to have a really great season so far. He's looking at like 75, 80 points this season, which would be outstanding for Ben. And he's been fantastic this is his 3rd season now since the Renaissance. So he's been really good since whatever it is he figured out. So yeah, he's been fantastic. He's been a big part of keeping this team in a good spot despite the scoring troubles. And hopefully, I mean, is it 3 games in a row where we've got 4 goals? So I think hopefully that's behind us and we can get going to some actual Stars hockey the rest of the season.
I have really enjoyed seeing him on that line in the top 6 with Duchesne and Johnston. I mean, the 3 of them seem to have some sort of chemistry. I mean, a lot of people have chemistry with Duchesne, but the 3 of them together have looked really, really good. And especially Jamie Benn the last 2 games. I think he had 7 shots last game, and then tonight I think he has half a dozen, if I remember correctly. I mean, he's just been ridiculous. It's almost like someone decided, okay, hey, I need you to play top 6 minutes. You're not a shutdown center. You're not a shutdown winger anymore. We need you to score. And he's just like, okay, fine. So he started to shoot the puck more, which is nice to see.
Yeah, really important to fill the hole that Marchment left too, and I think he's done that really well the past 2 games, like you mentioned as well. And great move by the coaching staff to throw Duchesne, Ben, and Johnson together. That feels like a really solid second line since we've lost 2 of our second line players so far with Marchment and Sagan being out. But they feel like a good slot in. It felt really good. They could get going here because Marchment's going to be out for a little bit at least. So that line seems confident and capable to put up points when we need them.
Now, to be completely honest with you, DeBoer was talking in the press conference after the game here today, and he was saying that basically what they did with the lines with the top 6 is that they loaded up on the top 6 forwards so that they weren't spread out like DeBoer normally likes to do them. And he seemed a little bit annoyed at the fact that he had to load up on the top 6. And I understand that doesn't exactly formulate his strategy and how he likes to coach very well. He likes to, roll 4 lines. But at least for the short term, like you said, Chris, it was a really good move by him to do so. And it seems to be working. I mean, I'll say it like I did last episode. Bones did the exact same thing when the Robo Hintz Pavelski line was first united. I mean, he was just like, you 3 are the ones getting all the points together. We're riding y'all. And then they proceeded to be the best line in hockey for 2, 3, 4 seasons. So it's just good to see. And it's good to see that Pete DeBoer is really trying everything at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
important to mention that also to put it in perspective, you've lost 2 players from your second line, and you're able to adjust and have a really
and
solid second
Pavelski.
line. I mean, Duchesne, Ben, Johnson is a good NHL second line, even with losing 2 players. Another good thing I think we should give credit to coaching staff for is the power play tonight. I don't necessarily like it. It's a lot of shots from the point, but it's something different. That's what at least I've been asking for the past little while now is change something. They changed something. They went all in on deflections tonight. That was the MO, and it worked at the very beginning, and there were some more dangerous looks throughout. I'm glad they're changing something.
Now, they've been doing that for a while, in my opinion. But here's the 2 things in particular I saw on the power play that I really liked here tonight. Most of the time I saw it tonight. They were actually taking and holding the puck, going deep down into the corners, into the zone. I liked to see that way more than the stupid little flip to the corner of the offensive zone, because it seemed like all of the team's penalty kills kind of snuffed that out pretty quickly. That was one. They were doing that way more often. And then the second, they were getting tips on net, which we saw in the Hintz goal. I mean, obviously. And then they were finally getting some chaos around the other net. I mean, that's really what it is, in my personal opinion. And it wasn't just on the power play here tonight either. That was the biggest thing that I noticed about the Stars offense was, yes, they were getting point shots like they have been, but they were getting those second and third opportunities, and they were finally getting some rebound chances to make them look a little bit dangerous and to get some momentum going. I don't know if that's something you noticed, but that was the biggest thing for me tonight on the offensive side of the puck, and specifically on the power play.
Yeah, I think facing the Sens third string goalie kind of helps with that a little bit too. That's the number one difference I see between an NHL goalie and an AHL goalie is the rebound control. Not even just necessarily hanging on to pucks, but knowing to punch them out or kick them out to safer areas is something that NHL goalies do a lot better than AHL goalies do. So that might have something to do with it, but I agree. I do like seeing them crash the net harder. I just wish it would convert a little bit more. 1 for 5 is still not great. It's better,
Yes,
but
but
it's
it's
not
better than
where
our
it should be at.
percentage. You know what? It's better than our percentage. It's 20%, and our
And
percentage
that
has been
is
like 15.
that is
So we'll
sad.
take it. We'll take it. Okay. This is just a side note because I thought this was interesting. You'll never guess where I got this stat from, though. Opposing netminders who have come into the American Airlines Center have an average of a 936 save percentage.
Yeah, that
You will
sounds about right.
that it does, right? You will never guess where I got that stat from. Just take one guess, and I'll tell you.
Where'd you get that stat from, Ryan?
The one and only Matt Duchesne in the
Nice.
post game conferences. I would have never guessed that he was the one. He pays attention to a lot of that stuff. He's fantastic, by the way. He's fun to talk to afterwards. But anyways, I know what you're saying about the whole third string goalie and everything like that, but it's still it's still a very good goaltender. I mean, you don't become a third string goaltender in an
Yeah.
organization
That's just the
if you're
big
not good.
difference. That's just the big difference between AHL and NHL. That's even for Magnus Hellberg, who's had a great year for the Texas Stars. If you're to point out his biggest flaw, why he's not in the NHL, it's rebounds.
Right. Okay. Okay. I have a couple of more things I want to talk about here, but is there anything you particularly want to talk about?
I thought Matt Dumba had a much better game tonight. His second game back, he logged, let's see, he got 16 minutes time on ice. He had a couple of really good, solid defensive plays. I thought he was a lot better.
He actually had several good defensive plays here tonight that I was kind of like, hey, okay.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah, but I was a little bit surprised because I was actually starting to notice him a little bit more tonight. Now, he had some chances where he just kind of threw it up the boards without looking for a second opportunity, but he made some very key stops here tonight and some very good key defensive plays here. I guess we kind of have to talk about it. You kind of discussed it very briefly, but just some weird, uncharacteristic plays by the Stars' 2 top D-men here tonight in the first period. I mean, that could have cost them the game, honestly, the way they were playing after the 2 goals by Ottawa. But Miro Heiskanen, I thought he had a rough game tonight a little bit, and it obviously it's the goal that kind of comes out of that really bad turnover. But there was a couple of other plays I was just like, that's very un-Miro like. So I just thought he was a little off tonight. He wasn't bad. It was just he was making turnovers that he doesn't normally. And then the Harley turnover was just as egregious, if not worse, because it was the second one that gave Ottawa the lead. So I just thought it was really weird, and it's nice that I'm able to talk about it and in a past sense and be like, oh, that's so nice. It didn't cost the Stars 2 points.
Well, the Harley one was the first turnover, actually, and that one was worse because he basically just passed that right to Pinto. At least on the Heiskanen one, Tkachuk did puck jack him a little bit, but man, when you're Miro Heiskanen, you don't want to get puck jacked by Brady Tkachuk. You're a better player than that. I kind of get what you're saying on the offensive side, especially. He looked a little bit bobbly with the puck on the offensive blue line, but outside of the one play, I didn't really see any other really bad mistakes from either Harley or Heiskanen the rest of the night. And I think they were a big part of what was really a great defensive game, only 13 shots on goal. And I think Heiskanen ended up playing over 25 minutes tonight, and Harley ended up playing 20-46. So they're still the best defensemen, even when they do make two pretty clearly goal-giving up plays. So that shows you how important they are to the team. They can make such egregious plays and still be a huge part of maybe the best defensive game of the season.
Very true. And speaking of our best defensemen, let's talk about our best players. Rope Hintz and Robertson. I forgot who had the stat. It was 27 points in the last 3 games from our top players or something like that. I forgot who it was. Monto, here you go. 27 points for the new top 6 in the last 3 games seems to be working. Absolutely. And it's not just the fact that it's working, that they're getting rewarded for what they're doing. I mean, Rope has looked ridiculous the last 2 games. Robo is starting to turn around. I mean, everybody in that top 6 for the Dallas Stars is really starting to look good.
Yeah, agreed. And it's what we've been needing to see all season, and what we thought would happen eventually. It just took a really long time for some reason. And finally, Rope Robo are getting going. I'll eat my words a little bit. I said I didn't like Dodonov on that top line. He looks fantastic there now. He was really good there tonight. Super good along the boards, especially on those goals for Robe and Robo. I thought he was instrumental. So yeah, I really liked Dodonov on that top line. Really good to see both of them going again.
And he tried to do one by himself there for a second. I think it was in the 3rd period. You see him go 1v4.
He is feeling himself too. He's got confidence. And he should. He's been crazy so far this season.
Yes, he has been absolutely fantastic. So, I did want to point out this. Darren, any report on Bork took one off the knee at the end. He did return to the bench at the end of the game. He did not take a shift. So it looks like he's okay, which I am very glad to hear, because it looked like he couldn't put any weight on that knee after it went off. It almost looked like it missed the kneecap, but it was still like in between the side of the knee and the front of the knee. Like
it looked like he got right between his pads is what it looked like.
But it is good to hear that he's okay, because he is another guy who has kind of been really good the last 2 games.
Yeah, we need some goals from him is really what we need. Same with Stankoven. Him and Stankoven need to get some offense going. That's what they're here for. But yeah, he's been solid overall. It's just a forward.
They're rookies, and what's nice is that the Stars' best players are actually coming out and starting to score like they should have been for the entire season. And again, it's only 2 games, but at least for 2 games, it's been consistent. So that is nice. With Ottinger, not really much to talk about with him tonight because he only had to save 13, but I don't blame him for the 2 that go in, because you don't expect those 2 guys to make the turnovers that they did. Do you want him to make one of those saves? Yeah, probably. But at the end of the day, he only lets in 2 goals, and the defense in front of him was fantastic.
Right. And which one do you want him to save? I mean, it's scored by Tkachuk and Greg, who are their top players who, I mean, which one are you going to save? Like, yeah, ideally you want some help there, but man, those are 2 pretty perfect plays after the turnovers by the Stars. So nearly impossible. And he had a couple of big ones. I think late in the second period, he had a big one, which was in the final minute, which could have been really bad for the Stars to lose that lead and be tied into the third period. I think he had one more at some point in the third. So I thought he was fine, but the story was the defense in front of him tonight. Only 13 shots is crazy.
Well, it's nice to see that even though one thing falters, the other two don't falter, if that makes any sense. I don't want to say the goaltending was bad tonight, but it was bad that the goaltending didn't stand when it was needed to be. But
I wouldn't even say that, because those goals are like hardly savable. I mean, it's an amazing save if he does it. It's incredible.
Which he's able to do.
He can, but man, especially on the first two shots of the game, to ask him to do something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't put any blame on him on either of those two goals.
And I do want to point this out to Nate making a really good point. This was something I was going to make as well. Ottawa has been playing hard without Ullmark. Marylainen is 2-2 with wins on Vancouver and Minnesota, so two really good teams. And they're also 7-3 in their last 10. That's a good win. They had a ridiculous December. I think they were 9-3-1 in December. The Senators were. This is not the same Ottawa Senators team that we've seen the last 2 to 3 years. This is a team that right now is in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, and another good point is the best part about their game so far this season has been their defense. They're in the top 10 in defense. I don't know if they are still after the game tonight, but they're around the bubble there, and the Stars are still able to put up 4 against them, and their goalie didn't play bad. He actually had some really big saves in that first period especially, so really encouraging signs for the Stars to be able to get points on the board finally and do it against a good defense.
Can't think of anything about the rest of the game. Is there anything else we haven't talked about?
Nope. I think I'm good.
Okay. Couple of news coming out from the Stars organization today. First off, Oscar back. He gets re-signed for 2 years, $825,000 per season. So he's going to be sticking around for the Dallas Stars for the next couple of years. That's very good. He's been excellent. He has been a very good, I don't want to say replacement, because he is a little bit different than Radek Faksa, but he has been a very good. He is. He's a pretty good replacement for Radek.
He's pretty much the exact same. He's just not as good at faceoffs.
There you go. That was the one thing I was going to mention, is not really good at faceoffs. So
also, he costs $800,000 and Radek Faksa costs $3 million. So
3.2.
That's way better. You can have your faceoffs, Faksa.
Okay, so with that being said, and what I want to ask you, with that deal being made, is that just to take care of business now so you don't have to worry about it later, or does this mean that something is coming here in the very near future?
No, I think that's locking down your Radek Faksa. I mean, if you can have that player and lock him down for less than $1 million for a somewhat extended period of time, and he's done it consistently over the first third of the season, why not do it? He's earned it.
And one of the things they talked about actually I think it was at Morning Skate, they talked about how it's actually a little bit easier for players like Oscar back to get into the NHL compared to players like Stankoven and Bork. Because, with Oscar back, what you see is what you get, right? I mean, he may put up points every once in a while, but he's not expected to put up points.
That's not his game.
That's not his game. He's a defensive forward. He's very good at the penalty kill. He's solid. He's big. He's nasty. And then you look at the other side when you've got Bork and Stankoven, who have, I know Stankoven basically played a quarter of the season last year, but he's a rookie still this year. 2 other rookies who are really struggling to get on the score sheet, which that's kind of their expectation of themselves and of the organization. So I just thought that was, I don't want to say funny, but kind of ironic how true that really is.
Well, that explains what a role player is. I mean, Oscar Beck is expected to play a fourth line role and be able to play solid defensively and to kill penalties so that our best players can stay on the ice when we have a better chance to score. Stankoven and Bork are supposed to be the guys that can score. So if they're not scoring, they're not doing their job. And Oscar Beck's job is, you could say, easier, but he has to be perfect more often than they do as well. So that's just the nature. Like, there are positions in hockey, but there's not different positions within the lines, but there kind of is, like a fourth line player and a first line player are very different. Those are the reasons.
Two more things. I can't believe we got this far without talking about it. R2 Huru. We've been waiting to say his name on this podcast on the Dallas Stars front. How nice is it to see him get his first NHL game here tonight?
Yeah, it was good. It was deserved. I mean, he's been fantastic. He got a hat trick on the last series that Texas played up in Manitoba. He's been really dynamic offensively for the Stars. He has been since the development tournament series that happened in Traverse City earlier this season. So really great find by Jari Lehtinen in Finland. And I thought he played all right. He only played 8 minutes tonight. I mean, kind of expected. He's a rookie. I think he's going to have a hard time really showing off his skills playing on that fourth line role. I think he'd be better suited in a more offensive area, but he almost finds the net tonight. If he can do that a little bit more and find some twine later, who knows? Maybe he gets a little bit more of a look. Ryan, I think you're muted.
I muted myself. I forgot because we have a guest coming in. Well, not really a guest. I think he was on a 10-game point streak in the AHL, right? Am I correct in saying that?
I looked at the stats. Someone said 10-game, and I think it might have been, but it might have got changed or something. AHL.com says 8-game. Either way, he's been on a hot streak.
It's a long streak. Yep.
Yeah.
He's been on an offensive streak, and it's nice to see him. Basically, him doing so well in the AHL, he's getting rewarded with this game tonight.
Right. And one more before we bring James in. Sorry, Darren made a good comment here. He said he's far more noticeable than Ritzy. And that's definitely kind of the point. Is like Ritzkovian is a solid all-around player. He's a guy that you could see playing on your fourth line for the Dallas Stars. He's really solid offensively and defensively. He's really great at back checking and stuff. Huru is a flashier guy that you could see scoring goals a little bit later on. So he should be more noticeable than Ritzkovian. That's not because Ritzkovian didn't do his job right. That's because that's how Huru played. Hi, James. James is here.
Hello.
Yep. And James was out working, but he still wanted to be able to jump in here real quick. Well, we're almost at the end, but tell me your thoughts on the game, James.
Well, just piggybacking a little bit on R2 Huru real quick. Huru is also a lot bigger than Ritzkovian is. And I feel like that had to have been part of the decision as well when you're talking about the players we have out. And we keep calling up players and they're shorter and shorter than the people they're replacing. And that can be tough. So I feel like he helped at very least just in size department.
Pure mass.
Yeah. Yeah. Pure flesh. Just needed more flesh in the lineup, I guess. Okay.
Biggest winner, biggest loser.
Let's do it. Biggest winner, biggest loser. James, who you got?
I'm gonna give mine to Robertson because I love Robertson and he's playing really well right now, and he's starting to catch back up to his point per game kind of area where we expect him to be. We expect him to be a point per game player, and he's starting to catch back up to it.
He's ridiculous right now. I think he's got what, 7 points in the last 2 games.
Yeah, and he's playing with tons of confidence. I mean, holding the puck in front of the net like that on the second pass to Rope, that's nuts. He's fighting off 3 Senators all at once.
Chris, who you got?
I'll take Rope. 2 goals are crazy. Those are snipers' goals. Fantastic shots.
Since y'all took the yes, slash deflections. I will take the not obvious one for me. It's still Jamie Benn. I mean, I know I'm kind of, singing his praises a whole lot right now, but I didn't realize like truly how consistent he's been this year. Like truly, like again, since December 1st, 4 games without a point. That's it. And he's played like what, 20? Well, maybe not quite that much, but like 15 to 20 games. Somewhere around there. He's only had 4 games without a point. That's fantastic. So he's my biggest winner. Who's your biggest loser tonight?
James?
I'm going to give mine to Harley. Honestly, I thought about giving him one in the Buffalo game as well, but he did so well offensively that it's kind of was mute point for me. But he has had multiple miscues with Dumba stepping back in, and it's not Dumba missing it, it's Harley missing plays. I don't know if it's a communication thing or what, but he's been rough in his defensive zone the past couple of games.
Chris.
I'm going to say the power play still. I mean, 1 for 5. I know that's better. We still shouldn't be happy with that with the quality of players we have. And I mean, we should be expecting a 25% power play from this group. And yeah, 1 for 5 just doesn't cut it. One of those power play goals, or one more, I guess I should say, in this game is truly out of reach. It felt out of reach in that third period, even when we were up just by 1 goal. But it would have truly been out of reach if we had deposited one more of those, which we really should have.
And that's kind of what I put on Twitter as well. I was just like, this is probably about the time you really want to get an extra power play goal and get yourself an insurance marker.
And that's been the whole thing for the Stars this season. It's like, if we just got one more goal in a few more of these games, it would have been so much easier, or we would have won a few more games. That's been the whole issue with the start of the season for me.
Welcome to Dallas Stars hockey, where we like to make it hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
For me, my biggest loser is I don't want to give it just to Harley, but I'll give it to Harley and Miro just for those 2 turnovers. That could have been a huge deciding factor in the game tonight, and they could have played flat for the rest of the game. And honestly, for me, at the first period, it was like the Stars were really good the first 10 minutes, and then the Senators were really good the second 10 minutes of the first period. So it kind of shocked them and made them flat, but they, to their credit, they came out in the second period a whole lot better. But still, for those turnovers, man, those were just so egregious. So Harley and Miro both, just because of the turnovers.
Yeah, weird to have 2 of the worst turnovers in back-to-back shifts by your 2 best defensemen. That was just weird.
30 seconds apart or 28 seconds apart or whatever it was. It was something ridiculous. Okay, we got to wrap it up here tonight, but 2 things. First things first, I am honestly very curious about other people's thoughts. I've asked for y'all's thoughts about Ryan O'Reilly coming and being a Dallas Star and why I think he would be a good fit. There's a blog post on the Starcaster Remarks website. If you would go and check that out, I don't know why I feel so strongly about this, but I really feel like he's a missing link, and it would be great if we can go and get him. Second thing, there is a special episode that we are going to be doing tomorrow night. We are going to be doing an after-game review for the Texas Stars game. I believe it's against the Admirals?
Nope. Tucson Roadrunners.
Tucson Roadrunners. I was completely off. Excuse me. The Tucson Roadrunners are heading to Cedar Park, and I will be heading to Cedar Park here tonight as well, and we'll be doing an episode there at the HEB Center, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to do that. I've never gotten a chance to be at a game there, and Chris has several times with, doing his stuff with 100 Degree Hockey, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, anything else, guys?
Nope. Cool.
Along with James, along with Chris, my name is Ryan. Go and check out StarcasterRemarks.com. Do it now. StarcasterRemarksShop.com is the best way to support us, what we do. 5-star review anywhere you listen to your podcast. Click like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And as always, thank you to DraftKings Sportsbook and Game Time. Promo code is THPN. Once again, alongside these 2 gentlemen, my name is Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Hope you guys have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. Chris, I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but you got anything interesting for us tonight?
Senators got impeached. GG, boys.